to our English classroom. This is Abigail Merga, working as School Assistant English in Jilla Parishad High School, Jalalagada of Guntur district. Children, I am very much excited to teach you another interesting topic today. Are you ready for that? Okay, let me ask you a question. Do you have pet animals? Oh, what are they? Dogs, cats, ducks, oh, parrots. Even you have rabbits. Very good. I like pet animals very much. We have two pet dogs. One is Tablet and the other one is Astro. Children, today in this class, we are going to learn about a cat by named Macavity. So let's see, this cat is not an ordinary one. It is very mysterious. Let's see about this cat in this lesson. Okay, children?
In the overview, we are going to see working with the text, working with language, speaking and writing, and the poem Macavity, the Mystery Cat. Let's see the learning outcomes. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to recall the previous knowledge about the pet animals, identify the figurative language used in the poem, recognize the characteristics of pet animals, compare the actions of Macavity with other cats, able to read the poem with proper pronunciation, rhythm, and intonation, enjoy the humorous actions of Macavity, develop imaginative skills, explain the given story in the form of comics, express your thoughts and write a paragraph on the given news item, and enrich your vocabulary and know the meanings of the new words. So now we are going to deal the poem Macavity, the Mystery Cat, written by T.S. Eliot. Thomas Stearns Eliot was born on 26 September 1888 and died on 4 January 1965. He was a poet, essayist, and a literary critic. He received Nobel Prize in Literature in 1948. Now let's see the poem in detail. Watch the video.
Macavity is a mystery cat, he's called the hidden paw. For he's the master criminal who can defy the law. He's the bafflement of Scotland Yard, the flying squad despair. For when they reach the scene of crime, Macavity's not there.
Dear students, I hope you enjoyed the first stanza of the poem. Now let's read the poem. Macavity is a mystery cat. He is called the hidden paw, for he is the master criminal who can defy the law. He is the bafflement of Scotland Yard, the flying squad's despair, for when they reach the scene of crime, Macavity is not there. Let's know the meanings for the new words. Mystery. Mystery means unknown. Criminal. One who commits a crime. Defy. Disobey. Bafflement. Bafflement means confusion. Despair. Sadness. Now let's see the summary of the first stanza. Here in the first stanza, the poet described the story of a cat Macavity. He is also known as Hidden Paw. He is a master criminal. He can break the law. He is a trickster. Even the Scotland Yard police and a flying squad of England failed to catch him. Macavity is the mastermind and does not leave any evidence, that means any clue, on the crime scene. Now let's move on to second stanza. Listen to the video.
McCavity, McCavity, there's no one like McCavity. He's broken every human law, he breaks the law of gravity. His powers of levitation would make a fucking stare. And when you reach the scene of crime, McCavity's not there. You may seek him in the basement, you may look up in the air, but I tell you once and once again, McCavity's not there.
Now let's read the second stanza. McCavity, McCavity, there's no one like McCavity. He's broken every human law. He breaks the law of gravity. His powers of levitation would make a fakir stare. And when you reach the scene of crime, McCavity's not there. You may seek him in the basement. You may look up in the air. But I tell you once and once again, McCavity not there. Let's know the meanings of the new words. You can see the word and its meaning. Levitation means raising or floating in the air without any support. Fakir, one who lives alone. Stare, to look continuously. Let's know the summary for the second stanza. In the second stanza, the poet says that McCavity is unique. There is no one quite like McCavity. He breaks every human law and even the law of nature. His ability to float in the air without any physical support makes a fakir wonder about his power. Surprisingly, when people reach the crime scene, they cannot find him. The poet elaborates that neither can he be found in the basement nor in the air. McCavity runs away from the crime scene extremely fast. Let's move on to the third stanza.
McCavity's a ginger cat, he's very tall and thin. You'd know him if you saw him, for his eyes are sunken in. His brow is deeply lined with thought, his head is highly doomed. His coat is dusty from neglect, his whiskers sore and combed. His face is head from side to side with movements like a snake. And when you think he's half asleep, he's always wide awake.
Let's read the third stanza. McCavity is a ginger cat. He's very tall and thin. You'd know him if you saw him, for his eyes are sunken in. His brow is deeply lined with thought. His head is highly domed. His coat is dusty from neglect. His whiskers are uncombed. He sways his head from side to side with movements like a snake. And when you think he is half asleep, he is always wide awake. Let's know the meaning for this stanza. You can see the word and its meaning. Sunken. Sunken means deep inside. Brow, eyebrow. Domed, shaped like a dome. Sway. Sway means swing or move. Let's know the summary for this stanza. In the third stanza, the poet describes the physical appearance of McCavity. McCavity is a ginger cat, very tall and thin, with sunken eyes and deep wrinkled brows, and his head is round like a dome. The coat of McCavity is full of dust. His hair is uncombed. His head moves from side to side, making movements like a snake. So when you think he's half asleep, he is in fact wide awake.
McCavity, McCavity, there's no one like McCavity. For he's a fiend in feline shape, a monster of depravity. You may meet him in a by street, you may see him in the square, But when a crime is discovered, then McCavity is not there.
Now let's read the last stanza of the poem. McCavity, McCavity, there's no one like McCavity, for he's a fiend in feline shape, a monster of depravity. You may meet him in a by street, you may see him in the square, but when a crime is discovered, then McCavity is not there. Now let's know the meanings for the new words in the last stanza. Fiend means devil or evil. Feline means species or a family of cats. Depravity means immorality. And square, it's an open space in the center of a town. The summary of the last stanza. The poet described McCavity as a cunning and a smart criminal. He is a merciless criminal. He is an incarnate of a devil and a monster in the form of a cat. He is a devil. You can easily see him. You can meet him at the junction of the town. He is nowhere to be seen when the crime is discovered. Now let's see the rhyme scheme in the poem McCavity the Mystery Cat. What is rhyme scheme? Rhyme scheme means the order pattern of rhymes at the end of the lines of a poem. When the end words are rhymed with the other words, we give the letter of alphabet A. If not, give another letter B. Let's see the examples in the poem. Let's see the rhyme scheme in the first stanza. Observe the first line last word, it is pa. And in the second line last word is la. So do you think la, pa and la are rhyming the same? Yes. So we can give them A. And then in the third line, the last word is despair. And in the fourth line, the last word is there. So here, despair is not rhyming with pa or la, and there is also not rhyming with pa or la. So here, pa and la are rhyming the same. So we are giving them A and A. And then here, despair and there are rhyming the same. So we are giving B and B. So the rhyme scheme of the first stanza is AA and BB. Let's move on to the second stanza. Let's see the rhyme scheme in the second stanza. So in first and second line, the last words are McCavity and gravity. So we gave them C and C because this rhyming is not repeated in the previous stanza. But when you observe in the third and fourth line, the last words stare and there. And in the fifth and sixth line, the last words are air and there. See, these rhyming words, they already repeated in the first stanza. So we have given the same letter B, B and BB. So the rhyme scheme of the second stanza is CC, BB and BB. Let's move on to the third stanza. Let's see the rhyme scheme in the third stanza. See, in the first and second line, the end words are thin and in. So thin is rhyming with in. So we gave letter D. And then here in the third and the fourth line, the end words are domed and uncombed. See here, the word domed is not rhyming with thin or in, but uncombed also is not rhyming with thin or in. So it is entirely different one. So here we gave letter D, and for this we are giving E because this D and E rhyming words are not repeated in the earlier stanzas. And then see, in the fifth and sixth lines also, here the last word is snake and away. See here, the snake is not rhyming with uncombed or doomed or in or thin, but even awake is also not rhyming with other words, only with snake. So we gave the letter F. So the rhyme scheme of the third stanza is D D, E E, and F F. Now let's see the rhyme scheme of the fourth stanza. See here, in the first and second lines, the last words are macavity and depravity. It is already repeated in the previous stanzas. So we gave the letter C and C. And then here in the third and the fourth line, the end words are square and there. So this rhyming is also repeated in the previous stanzas. So we gave them the same letter B and B. So the rhyme scheme in the fourth stanza is CC and BB. So now the rhyme scheme of this poem is a lyric. That means a song. The rhyme scheme is a couplet. That means two lines are rhyming the same. So A and BB. Example, pa and la, air and there, macavity and gravity, thin and in. So A, BB, CC and DD. Now children, let's move on to the next topic. Now let's move on to the figures of speech. Let's see personification. What is personification? A personification is a figure of speech that is used to attribute human characteristics to something that is not human. Throughout the poem, the cat Macavity is depicted as a human being. So we called it as personification. The next figure of speech is refrain. So refrain means when the same phrases or lines are repeated at regular interval is called refrain. See here in this poem, when you observe macavity is not there, macavity is not there, macavity is not there. So here at the end of each stanza or every fourth line, the same phrase or the sentence is repeated. So we call it as refrain. Let's see repetition. So what is repetition? When a same word is repeated again and again in a single line, it is called as repetition. When you observe here, macavity, macavity, and even at the end also we have macavity. So in the single line, macavity is repeated 3 times. So it is called as repetition. And then in the second line, when you observe here, he has broken every human law. Here, her sound is repeated. So it is called as alliteration. Here, her and her sound is repeated. So it is called alliteration. Now let's observe the second line. See in the second line, you can see him and him is repeated again and again in the same line. And in the same way in the fifth line, side, side, side and side is repeated again and again in the same line. So we can call it as repetition. And then in the third line, his head is highly domed. Her sound is repeated. And then in the last line, he is half asleep. Her sound is repeated. So we can call it as alliteration. Now let's observe the highlighted phrase, like a snake. So it is called a simile. When we compare anything by using words like, as, like, and so on, it is called a simile. So here, the movement of a cat is compared to the movements of a snake. He sways his head from side to side with movements like a snake. So the movement of a cat is compared to the movement of a snake. So we can call it as simile. And then here we have imagery also. So here in the first line, he is very tall and thin. So what we have to do, just simply close your eyes and imagine the image of the cat which is very tall and thin, and then his eyes are sunken and his brow is deeply lined and his head is highly domed, and then his coat is dusty, and then his whiskers are uncombed. So if you imagine the picture or the image of this cat in your mind, then it is called imagery. Now let's see metaphor. So metaphor means indirect comparison. When we compare the underlined quality, then it is called as metaphor. So here, when we observe the highlighted phrases, he is a fiend in feline shape. That means here, evil spirit in the inner shape of a cat. So here he is comparing the cat as fiend in feline shape, the evil spirit or the devil in the inner shape of a cat. So we can call it as metaphor. And then here in the last line, we can see Macavity is not there. And Macavity, Macavity, Macavity. Again, it is repeated 3 times in a sentence. So it is called repetition. Now let's summarize the figures of speech of the poem Macavity the Mystery Cat. Personification means attributes human characteristics to something that is not human. Refrain, same phrases are repeated at regular intervals. Alliteration, same sound of a letter repeated in a sentence. Repetition, same word is repeated again and again. Simile, comparing anything by using words like as, like, and so on. Metaphor means indirect comparison. Imagery means get the image in the mind about that particular person or a thing. Dear students, now let's see how the exaggeration is used in the poem. Exaggeration means to enlarge beyond bounds or truth. It describes larger and greater than what actually it is. Let's see some exaggeration points in the poem. He is called the hidden path. He is a master criminal. He is the bafflement of Scotland Yard. He breaks the law of gravity. His power of levitation makes a fakir stare. He is faint in feline shape, a monster of depravity. So these are some exaggerations used in the poem. Students, in the previous class, I told you to read the news item on page number 49 and write a paragraph based on the history becomes fun at this school. I hope you have completed your work. So who is going to show me your writing? Okay, Queenie is ready. So let's listen to the Queenie's writing a paragraph about history becomes fun at this school.
History becomes fun at the school. Teaching history through visual aids is an excellent method. It will imprint the historical events on the minds of students. They remember easily. Pictures, comic strips, and colorful visuals attract the students and they remember for a long time. They help the students to do better in the examinations. This method promotes competitive spirit, creativity, and so on. Every student will get a chance to present the activity given to them. Method of teaching must inspire and influence all the students alike and stir thinking process among the students.
Students, on page number 49 of your English reader, you have a writing exercise. Create a comic of your own using this story. So here this story is a quarrel between the wind and the sun. So watch the video and then write a comic of your own. I will see this word in the next class.
Hi, Win. Do you know that I am the strongest in the universe? Ha ha! Son, no one can beat me in my might and in my power. Okay, let's see. Dear son, I can make that man take off his cloak. The wind is blowing heavily. Oh, it's so cold. Let me hold my cloak tight. Oh, it's bad. Oh, wind, shall I try now? Okay, you can proceed now. The sun is shining brightly in the sky. Oh my God, it's so hot. Let me take off my cloak. Oh, great, son. Finally, you won the challenge. Congratulations. You are welcome, Wind. You are welcome.
Students, so far you have listened to the poem and learnt meanings to the new words and the summary and rhyme scheme and also figures of speech and so on. Now it's time for comprehension check. Here comes your question on the screen. Read the first stanza and identify the rhyming words. Now who is ready with the answer? Okay. Far and law, despair and there. Great job. Here comes your next question on the screen. McCavity is a mystery cat because he has hidden powers, he has hidden power, no one knows his ways. Scotland Yard is baffled by him. So, who is going to answer for this? Okay. No one knows his ways. Very good. Here comes your question on the screen. Who is the author of the poem McCavity the Mystery Cat? McCavity, S.D. Sawant, T.S. Eliot, Rabindranath Tagore. So, who is going to answer this question? Very good. T.S. Eliot. Very good. Your next question on the screen. What was the poet telling again and again? McCavity surrenders his crime. McCavity was present in the scene. McCavity was not in the scene and disappears. None of the above. So who is ready with the answer? Very good. McCavity was not in the scene and disappears. Good job. I know you're all very intelligent students. What do you understand by the term a master criminal? Now who will give me the answer? A master criminal is the one who defies the law, commits crimes, and escapes from the scene of crime. Very good, very good. Your question on the screen. Which law is McCavity breaking? Who is ready to give me answer? McCavity is breaking the law of gravity. Very good. Here comes your question on the screen. Read stanza 3 and describe McCavity in 2 or 3 sentences of your own. You can give me one by one. Okay? Now, who will give me the answer? McCavity is a ginger cat. Good. He is tall and thin. Very good. His eyes are sunken. Excellent. His head is highly domed. Brilliant. Very good. Say true or false for each of the following statements. Number 1. McCavity is not an ordinary cat. True. Very good. 2. McCavity cannot do what a fakir can do easily. What's your answer? False. Number 3. McCavity has supernatural powers. True. McCavity is well dressed, smart and bright. What's your answer? False. Very good. 5th one. McCavity is a spy, trickster and a criminal. All rolled in one. So what's your answer? True. Very good. You have done a good job. Now, find few exaggerations used by the poet in the poem. Now you can give me one by one. He's the bafflement of Scotland Yard. His power of levitation would make a fakir stare. He breaks the law of gravity. And he is a fiend in feline shape, a monster of depravity. Very good. Here comes your question on the screen. What is the meaning of the word bafflement? So who is ready with the answer? Go ahead. Confusion. Bafflement means confusion. Good job. Dear students, here is a home task for you on the screen. Observe the picture and write a simple story. Give a suitable title and moral. Students, now it's time for us to close the session. We'll meet in the next class. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.